Well, as you correctly pointed out, there was this Supreme Court declaration already na hindi naman siya talaga nag-involve ng national security. But we'll play it by ear, no? There's this concern on the part of the president. So we'll just be more careful, siguro, when the PNP and the DOJ examine all of these records anew.
Official records say the Duterte administration's drug war has killed over 7,000 people. Human rights groups peg the number higher than that. Philippine Police Chief Guillermo Eleazar vows to dismiss the cop who was caught on video committing cold-blooded murder in Quezon City. In an interview with ABS-CBN News, Police Master Sergeant Hensi Zinampan admitted he had been carrying a grudge against the family of the victim, Lilibeth Valdez. While footage shows an apparently drunk Zinampan grabbing the 52-year-old and shooting her at close range, he confronted her on Monday night. Zinampan was later arrested by the Quezon City Police. He's now charged with murder. The Commission on Human Rights is looking into the incident, which it likened to the shooting slay of a mother and child in Panichi, Tarlac, December of last year.
Remember in Mesca, the victim was a member of the vulnerable sector, also a senior citizen in this regard, and a woman, and in front of other people. And we still have the same circumstances happening here. We have a woman, a member of the vulnerable sector, again in front of children, and the fatal shot to the neck. And it's just so brazen, it's just so shocking. And kailangan talaga tuldukan yung mga ganitong insidente.
The Justice Department's interagency
legacies are built for future generations. Over 200 years' experience has taught us that transferring your values with your wealth is the surest way your legacy will endure. Pictet, wealth managers since 1805.
Are we as a company responsible only for the four walls in our stores and such, or actually do we take a moral and ethical responsibility for our entire value chain?
It's time for the perfect journey.
Ball Association basically said enough is enough. You know, we're having players getting dozens, hundreds of death threats, racial slurs coming each and every day. Now, the problem is that football being such a global game, this isn't restricted just to the UK where the Premier League is based. People love football here in Singapore. The Premier League is followed all around the world. The hurdle, though, was always for the Premier League and the authorities to get in touch with law enforcement overseas, to really persuade them to put in the time, the money, the resources in identifying these people, treating them like international criminal cases. Now, we've seen an example here of collaboration between the Premier League and the Singaporean police, and if there's a conviction, then we could see many more of these, and we could see a bit of a precedent, a bit of a watershed moment in the tackling of online abuse.
Okay, Nick, many thanks indeed. Nick Marsh there for us, reporting from Singapore. Just over this here on BBC News, still to come. The tennis star, whose honesty about living with depression has drawn worldwide praise.
CGTN. See the difference.
Now, foreign ministers of the world's five major emerging economies known as the BRICS grouping have held a virtual meeting. Brazil, Russia, India and China and South Africa discussed the COVID response, cooperation, multilateralism and countering terrorism. Tu Liao tells us more.
Tuesday's meeting was chaired by Indian External Affairs Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar. In their opening remarks, the other four ministers expressed their condolences for India, which has been hit hard by a deadly second wave of COVID-19, reporting over 27 million cases and almost 330,000 deaths. And Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said not just India, but all BRICS countries have been hit hard and affected by the pandemic. As we know, this year marks the 15th anniversary of the group's establishment.
Instead of the number of workers, China will have to spend more money and effort in improving its human capital by increasing education. I believe this will become the foundation of China's future economic growth, because innovation and technology will multiply output by a much bigger multiplier. And this could bring new investment opportunities for Asia. So for Asian investors, there are a few areas that can really benefit from China's demographic transition. And one obvious area is in the healthcare industry, because China is really lagging in its elderly care and the healthcare in general. And then when it comes to the change in economic forms, there is an interesting and emerging trend of the single economy. So there are already a lot of business targeting Chinese young people, the single women, but I think in the next 10 years, it will probably become the golden era of the single economy.
The Chinese government has been very public in declaring the national goals of China Manufacturing 2025, China AI 2030, raising the overall manufacturing level to become much more intelligent, to become much more innovative, and to embrace
진리와 섬김을 이어갈 계획입니다. 원성교회는 교인 감소와 재정난 등 어려움을 겪고 있지만 도시교회의 도움을 받아 한방진료처럼 농촌 맞춤형 사역을 전개해 교회의 역할과 사명을 감당하고 있습니다.
우선순위에서도 모임되지 않는 그런 어려움이 있습니다. 그런데 이런 상황에서도 교회가 다시 살아나야 되고, 하나님께서 주신 교회들마다 은사가 다 있는데 우리가 그걸 찾아가면서 서로 도움이 되는 그런 사역들이 같이 진행이 돼야 돼요.
국내의 농어촌 지역 선교 사역의 필요가 커지는 가운데 충성교회 의료 선교회 봉사자들의 손길이 농어촌 의료 선교 활성화의 촉매제가 되길 기대합니다. CTS 뉴스 배진우입니다.
기독교 한국 침례배 해외 선교회가 포항 중앙침례교회에서 프리비티를 개최했습니다. 기독교 한국 침례회의 선교대회인 BT의 사전대회로 열린 이날 행사에서 해외 선교회 회장 주민호 선교사는 해외 선교 비전을 제시했습니다. 한편 기독교 한국 침례회의 선교대회인 BT는 오는 8월 1일부터 3일까지 한국 침례신학대학교에서 비대면 형식으로 열립니다.
전 세계를 강타한 바이러스 코로나19. 함께 모여 예배할 수 없는 초유의 상황 속에서 우리의 영적 호흡은 끊어져 갑니다. 급변하는 시대, 다음 세대를 키우는 미디어 선교, CTS가 앞장섭니다. 개혁주의 생명신학으로 새로워질 한국교회. 다음 세대와 가슴 뛰는 세상을 열어갑니다. 이 캠페인은 대한예수교 장로회 백석통회와 함께합니다.
오늘은 전국이 대체로 맑겠습니다. 낮 최고 기온은 19도에서 31도로 제주도는 밤부터 구름이 많겠습니다. 주간 날씨 수가 있겠습니다.
백만인 기도운동에 새롭게 참여하신 분들입니다. 백만인 기도운동을 통해 보내주신 후원금은 국내는 물론 전 세계를 향한 CTS의 영상 선교 사역을 위해 소중하게 쓰이고 있습니다.
CTS 뉴스 오늘 순서 여기까지입니다.
시청해주신 여러분 고맙습니다.
The same year that hundreds of high school girls from Chibok were kidnapped, making headlines across the world. Boko Haram means Western education is a sin. Its leader, Abubakar Shekau, pushed the Islamist sect towards ultra-violence in the wake of the assassination of its founder. In 2015, he pledged allegiance to Daesh. But even since the army regained control in Bama, Boko Haram remains well established in the northeast because local frustrations are strong. Borno State is poor, electorally insignificant, and historically disregarded.
Vaccination blitz for these workers, which the most important thing that you can do is, if you haven't been vaccinated, is to use one of these centres, or indeed through our partners at the GP networks, to get yourself vaccinated. Come forward, protect yourself, protect your community, and make sure that we do this together. So in that regard, I'll leave opening comments and invite questions by the Premier.
I guess a little bit of Brad potentially or yourself. One of you.
It's semantics to a great degree, Rich. We talked about aggressive suppression in Australia or effective elimination. It's the same thing. It's driving community transmission back down to zero.
Could you have made a decision that you can contain what we've got now and open up a little bit, or is this just throw everything at it and then we can get out in a couple of weeks?
Well, it's absolutely with a view to getting completely on top of it and having